quick disclaimer, we are not investigative journalists. We simply read, watch, and listen to whatever we can to satisfy our curiosity while use this information to form our own personal opinions. Do not take this as investigative journalism. This is simply our own rabbit holes.
Hello, friends, and get ready. We're going to talk about the docs, the crimes, and all the people involved. This is Crime and Chill. Hey guys, I'm Victoria.
I'm Rachel.
How are you today, Rachel?
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year! Let's hope 2022 is better than this year. The past 2 years, really.
Yeah, this year was better than last year, so.
I'm saying the same thing I said last year, this year. Nobody say this is your year. Don't walk in all cocky. Everybody just sit down and don't fucking touch anything. Let's all just behave ourselves.
See, but I can't go with that, because you know I'm all about manifesting my future, and...
Manifest quietly.
Like, I do feel like we didn't fuck up 2020. Fucking government did. And continued to do so. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to be okay in 2022.
It's all going to be fine. But can we not, do any fuckery, please?
Let's all be cordial. Love each other.
Be nice to everybody.
Set good goals. If you don't know what a goal is, okay, that's an inside joke between me and my mother. Anyways, do you have any big New Year's resolutions?
My New Year's resolution is actually to prioritize myself more. Because I put everybody above me, and that's not good.
Yeah.
I need to prioritize some self-care.
I don't know what week it is, but we talked about face mask on you before you put the face mask on someone else when the plane's going down.
So I gotta focus on that. I gotta start doing that. What about you? You got any?
So I do this thing every year where I make my goal list, and I've been kind of not doing it yet. So I'm glad I have some time, because really we're recording this 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
But I do need to put some thought into it.
I mean, I'm going to put more thought because I think I need to make more goals than just prioritize myself. And I need to have goal plus ABC that tells me how I'm going to achieve that goal.
Right. A goal without a plan is just a dream.
Yeah.
The dreams never get followed.
So
I think I want to learn how to go to therapy. Not like my psychiatrist now.
Yeah.
But actually talk in therapy. Because I wasted lots of years of money just going and sitting there and be like, how does that make you feel? So...
That's the same thing I do. That's why I won't do therapy. Because I'm sitting here well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I just can't do it. I can't talk about myself. So that's one thing I want to do. I need a degree in therapy, but just be my friend. So I don't notice that you're a therapist. But even my friends, I have a hard time, actually saying what's in the tornado, so I don't know.
I know, I have to sit here and be even still, we've been friends forever at this point, and I'm Rachel, I can tell you're lying to me.
And even then, I probably don't give you the full truth.
No, you don't.
So, yes. What do we got going on in crime news?
Okay, so, first things first, Thomas Spota and his top aide, which we have talked about from our episode of the Long Island serial killer.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up.
And we did do an update saying that they were convicted on conspiracy, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and civil rights violation. Both Spota and his top aide have now entered separate federal prisons after a judge denied their request to stay out on bond while they appealed their convictions.
Okay, where in the fucking world is it okay to stay out on bond while you appeal a conviction? Where does that happen at? Why did you think that was going to happen?
I don't know.
Your source of influence has fallen, buddy.
Yeah. So Spota is 80 years old, and he told the judge in August at the sentencing, this is what he said. He said, quote, "I hope I do not die in prison alone."
You're going to die there.
First of all, it's a 5-year sentence.
Okay, but you sent a lot of people to prison. I hope you are okay, but you've gotten to live a very nice life.
Yep.
You're 80. You're just now seeing the results of your crimes. Cry me a fucking river. In the words of Justin Timberlake, cry me a river. So
I know. So that's one thing. So I have another one. So a North Carolina man who was given a life sentence as a teenager will be getting released from prison at some point. Nathanael High, who was 14 when he killed his dad in 2002, recently entered a plea deal following the Supreme Court's ruling that invalidated life sentences for minors convicted of murder. Nathaniel's father, Randy High, who was a 47-year-old cop, was the police chief of Gaston College at the time of his death. And Nathaniel and his girlfriend, who was 13 at the time, shot Nathaniel's father, then went to the mall for ice cream. Reportedly, the father did not approve of the relationship, and I didn't do any digging to see if that was a motive in this case or not. But, so now Nathaniel's charge has been reduced to second-degree murder, and he could be released at the time of this recording about 21 months, so sometime in 2023 is what they're looking at. So a lot of, from my understanding with that Supreme Court ruling, there's a lot of case is being re-examined right now, which I agree with.
I think there is a reason why you cannot drink or smoke cigarettes until you're 21.
Yep.
There is a reason why you cannot gamble until you're 18. Your brain is not fully developed.
Nope.
If you have access to weapons, and kind of like the Crumley case going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
you set your child up for failure. Teenagers are moody.
Yep.
They take everything to the next fucking level, and instead of putting your shit up and locking it, as a fucking cop, you should have known better.
Yep.
Not that you deserve to lose your life over this.
Right.
But it was a child.
Right.
They make mistakes. Does not mean, I don't think as a child I would have killed anybody.
No.
But I also think my mom was there more than some parents.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, but enough.
Mm-hmm.
And
your mom's scary.
Yeah, and she's scary.
Like, your mom has yelled at me?
But
terrifying.
She's scary, but she has a heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I said, she yelled at me, but then she came back the next day and apologized.
Like, there was times where it was more, I want to be your friend than your mom.
Yeah.
But then when it was, I'm going to be your mom, it was scary. So, I don't know. I just feel like children, they should be held accountable, but to an extent. What is going on around them that causes them to do this?
Yeah.
What could have been prevented?
Yeah, I didn't do any digging because I'm very curious of, like, why he just hauled off. Like, was it the relationship not being approved of? Was there something else going on?
Or was
there
Dad
abuse?
a sergeant at home as much as he was a captain at work and forgot that his son needed both?
Like, have you guys seen It? Because in It, the cop in the movie, his son kills him because of the influence by Pennywise, but you can also see that, like, he's a cop at home and the way he treats his kid in that. Like, that actually happens.
And there's a whole experiment. There's a movie of it, but where they take prisoners and they take cops and they put them in a jail cell and they experiment and watch how the cops treat the prisoners or the corrections officers, whatever. But I think sometimes parents forget that you can't always be an authoritarian. You got to be, loving and compassionate at the same time.
Yeah.
I can yell my ass off at Nick. Doesn't mean I'm not going to go a couple hours later and be like, hey, bud, do you want a snack?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to have balance.
Yeah.
They're kids. They don't have enough brain. So I agree.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that they're re-examining and, like, they're saying, you know what, as a minor, they shouldn't be sentenced to life. You're right, they shouldn't.
There is a case, I think it's out of Tennessee, maybe? Kid was 7 years old and he killed somebody and was sentenced as an adult.
Yeah.
Was it
a 7-year-old.
Was it Tennessee?
I'm pretty sure it was Tennessee.
Yeah, and his father has been fighting ever since to get his kid out. Who's no longer a kid. He's an adult with a college education from the prison.
Why are we sentencing a 7-year-old like an adult? That's nowhere near, like, okay, 16, 17, I can kind of understand maybe why we're looking at it more as an adult, because you are a little bit older.
They have more of a capacity. But at the end of the day, they still don't have a frontal lobe.
Which is the point that Rachel makes constantly when we talk about people that are young. It's like, they don't have a frontal lobe.
They don't have the ability to determine their instinct over anything else.
Right.
It's fight or flight all the time at that age.
Yeah. Fight or flight will do different things to different people.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's called fight or flight.
Yeah.
There's also, I like to call it fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is.
I don't like fight or flight. It's fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah. I mean,
you're doing one of three things.
If you don't have that person or people to help in the moment of fight, fright, or flees, then something bad could and possibly will happen. If you don't kill somebody, you probably get into drugs. You probably get in trouble at school. There are things that lead up to murder.
Yeah.
You don't just wake up one morning. I mean, you could.
You could.
But there usually are little signs that are, 20/20 hindsight. You look back and you realize.
Yeah.
But you just gotta, I'm not a parent expert, because, obviously my kids are assholes. But I don't think...
But your kids are the sweetest assholes ever.
I don't think they're gonna kill anyone. They may kill each other, but they're not gonna kill anyone else.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad they're really looking at that.
Yeah, I'm really glad, and I think we're gonna slowly see more and more of that kind of coming out, stories like that. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because again, he was a very young child that should not have been sentenced to life.
What happens to children in other countries that murder?
I don't know.
There's a show on Netflix called Kids Who Murder, or it used to be. I don't know if it's still on there.
It's still there.
It's by Pierce Morgan, right?
Yeah. I don't like Pierce Morgan.
I mean, I don't really like him, but I was just thinking maybe
he's a douchebag. Sorry.
I really wonder what happens in other countries, though. Like, are we the norm or are we the abnorm that we charge children as adults?
So I know in England, I like how they have the kids, and I think depending on the prison system. But in England, like, it's more like little apartments. Like, they are recognizing that they are children.
So
that
who's in the apartments with them?
The door's locked. Like, it's like a normal facility. Everything's normal. But they actually have, like, beds and televisions. And books. Like, they have access to things. because they are children.
So I know in Colombia, at the DJJ in Colombia, they actually have really good programs, but they're understaffed.
Yeah.
And I think...
Which is everybody and everything right now.
Well, no, I mean, but they've always been like
yeah,
this.
DJJ's always understaffed.
I think there's a better way of handling children criminals.
Yeah.
I don't know what the way is, but I just think there's a better way than to treat them like prisoners. They're not the same...
I think we might do a podcast on this at some point talking about this but I'm going to find some information.
I'm just curious to see what...
And we're going to talk about how kids are handled in the prison system. I think that's a good conversation.
And what their crimes that they're committing, what could have been done beforehand or during. Like, now they're in the sentencing phase and they're going through their sentencing. What are they doing during that is going to be successful for them to be adults? Because I don't think all children criminals need to end up as adult criminals. I think there's a way to stop that. You need a Kevin.
Yep, you need a Kevin.
So... Because I'm pretty sure my brother would have ended up as a criminal if it wasn't for Kevin. Just saying. Shout out Kevin. Yeah.
All right. But anyway, let's get into this episode of the Murdaugh Files. That was stupid. I'm sorry.
Okay. On that note, today's Murdaugh drama. This one was very preventable. Like, very preventable. And I could say that from being a teenager around the same age, being in similar situations. But today we're going to talk about the tragic death of Mallory Beach and the long drawn-out process of criminal and civil suits that have followed. So, if you don't know who Mallory Beach is, she was 19 years old at the time of her death, where she died during a boating accident. She died from drowning and second-degree blunt force trauma. Thank you. In my head, I couldn't get it all out. Which means she hit her head initially in the crash. So she was knocked unconscious and drowned.
Yeah.
So she didn't die from the injury. She died from not being able to wake up in the water and drowned. I don't know why people didn't understand that, but...
Yeah, I don't understand why that's so confusing.
Your graphic degree of how horrible that is. Because she's not conscious, she couldn't breathe and drowned. I mean, that's a terrible fucking way to die.
At least she wasn't aware after that point.
Yes, and to be honest, I've always told people I'd rather drown than anything else in life, but still.
What is wrong with you?
I mean, we're all gonna die at some point, people.
I know, but can't we do it in a peaceful, nice way and not a drowning way? That sounds violent and awful.
I mean, if I'm gonna be dead before I die in my sleep, yeah, I'd rather...
You just want to be in the water.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all it is.
That's
okay, continue. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So, on February 23rd of 2019, Paul Murdaugh, who was murdered on June 7th of 2021, allegedly... And I'm using allegedly because there's a lot of cases going on. I believe it's true, but, allegedly used his brother's ID to purchase alcohol from a convenience store called Parker's. He was underage at the time. Obviously, that's why he used someone else's ID. Paul buys the alcohol, and then his friends proceed to take a boat from his house on Murdaugh Island to... That's really what they call it.
I know.
Oh, okay.
It just makes me giggle.
It's only because their house is the only house on this island.
I just have to say something real quick, because I was also looking in to make sure I have my information correctly. They don't look that much alike,
no,
Paul and Buster.
They're 1.5 foot difference in height.
And their faces are completely different. Yep. Their hair color's a little different.
So we can get into that while you're bringing that up. This isn't the first time that convenience store has sold underage alcohol. In, I think it was 2015. I'm pretty sure it was 2015. An underage person went into that convenience store without an ID, tried to purchase alcohol. The convenience store clerk said, go outside and find someone, and now we'll sell it to them. Child goes outside, finds someone, buys the alcohol, they buy the alcohol, give it to them. He proceeds to get in a car and cause multiple fatalities from drunk driving. And they were sued in that case. Yeah, so this convenience store has had a ongoing problem with selling to underage children.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Why is that store still open?
Well,
I hope they're closed now.
This was the second incident. I don't see how their insurance company would continue to allow coverage, and I don't see how the owner would...
Second incident that's documented.
That's documented. There could be more. This is just the...
we know underage buying happens.
Oh, yeah. Remember when I worked for... I don't know if I've ever said this. For the police, I would go and purchase underage alcohol to bust people. I
didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wanted to do that really bad.
Well, I can only do alcohol because when they came to me and they wanted to when we did it was supposed to be alcohol and tobacco, but I was so close to 18 that it could have been a problem in court or whatever.
I bought I bought tobacco underage all the time because we have that corner store right here that never ID'd me.
Yeah, money shot.
And also the flea market had cigarettes and they didn't ID.
That's how I got into it. When I was working at Waffle House, the cop would ask me how I purchased my things, and I told him, I was like, I just walk in and buy it. And I was like, but I'm not hitting the stores I go to.
Yeah, like we're not hitting the stores we go to.
Yeah.
No, you're not busting my life.
I got to do it for 2 or 3 occasions, and they paid you to do it.
Fun.
Yeah.
That seems fun.
It was a little scary, but yeah, it was fun. I got to feel like an undercover cop.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so bought the alcohol. What happened next?
Paul had Paul and his girlfriend, Anthony and his girlfriend, which is Mallory Beach, and then Connor and his girlfriend.
Okay.
They're going to a clam bake. Just so fucking rich Southern boy shit. Okay? It is fucking February. We're going to go to a clam bake. Like, what?
And just that's normal in the Low Country.
I get that, but it is rich boy.
Oh, it's 100% rich boy shit.
Because who the fuck can afford to feed that many people on clams and oysters?
Right. Normally, the non-rich folk, we do what's called a Low Country boil.
Yes. And it might have been a Low Country boil, but it kept saying Low Country boil between a clam bake and a Low Country boil. It was both of them that was announced.
It's 2 different things, people.
I know.
Because it is no longer, I gotta say this because it pisses me off. It is not a Low Country boil once you add fucking clams and oysters and shit into it. Stop calling it a Low Country boil if you're adding all this extra shit into it. It is not a Low Country boil anymore. Stop it. Okay. I'm sorry.
Anybody who eats crawfish is fucking nasty to begin with, so...
That's mostly Louisiana.
No, they do it here too.
I mean, yeah.
It's disgusting. We can't afford that shit, but people do it. It's gross.
Most of the time, a Low Country boil is shrimp, sausage, corn, potatoes.
Nasty.
And sometimes either crawfish or crab.
It's gross.
It just depends.
I like seafood, and it's gross. Gross.
Okay. Now that welcome, thank you for coming to my TED Talk and my rant. Continue, Rachel. They were going to a clam bake.
Alrighty. So there's different reports of why they initially took the boat. Some say it was because they knew that there was going to be a DUI check. Some say it's just because they wanted to. I'm going to go with they knew it was going to be a DUI check.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that everybody knew law enforcement. Anthony's mom was in law enforcement. They knew.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, preventable.
So I feel like even as a teenager, and I know I didn't really drink then, and I don't really drink now. But if I was going to be drinking, somebody was sober, or I wasn't leaving.
Exactly. We didn't have Uber back then.
Nope.
Not here, at least. There was Uber up north at that point, but there wasn't Uber here.
Yeah,
yet.
Why didn't I take an Uber?
It was suggested. Everybody in the group besides Paul suggested it. This is why it is very preventable.
Okay.
You all had money. Why did this man have so much control over you, knowing that you asked, let's take an Uber, because you could see that everybody had too much to drink?
Yeah.
Preventable. And I'm sorry, at 19 years old, I've been here, I've been in this situation, and I have made other decisions.
Yep.
So, preventable. I am sorry Mallory is dead, but this was all preventable.
Yep.
You all had enough conscious understanding that this was dangerous.
And suggested to take an Uber, and
you
didn't.
So, after they spend 4 hours, they were there from 8 to 12, I don't know how many hours that is, they were able to trace the GPS monitoring on the boat from the entire evening.
Okay.
They get to their location at 8 p.m. They hang out till midnight. There's drinking involved. They are, eating, chatting, whatever. The parents were home to this house where this clam bake was going on. There are 2 ways to sue for alcohol when you are at someone's house. It is different than being in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
So in South Carolina, if I served you alcohol, like you were at my house drinking, at your age of 27,
mm-hmm.
and you chose to leave my house and get into an accident, you cannot sue me.
Right.
If I have a 19-year-old person at my house for a party, and they are drinking, and they leave, and they get hurt, they can then sue me. So why didn't these parents, who again have money, have influence, know laws, why didn't they make that decision of, no, I'm taking your keys? Paul must be one scary motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I could come up to.
That's literally what I was thinking when I was reading about everything, because I did a lot of research on the boating accident. So I'm like, he had to be fucking terrifying that you were willing to get on a boat with him, knowing he's shit-faced.
Yep.
Knowing you're also shit-faced. Like, you're not so drunk that you're blackout drunk. You're drunk enough to still understand
that this is a bad idea.
This is a bad idea. And you still got on the fucking boat.
So when they leave at midnight from this house that they are, eating and drinking at, they are on their way back. They stop in Beaufort, South Carolina. It is shown that they dock. There is video surveillance showing at 1:13 them on the dock. So again, all 6 of them had the opportunity
to leave,
to stop this.
Yep.
This is what my problem is. And I understand kids will be kids and they make the wrong decisions, and maybe I was just raised differently when it comes to alcohol. But if I was stupid enough to know, okay, I went ahead with this. He stops in Beaufort to drink more at a bar. First of all, the bar that served him needs to be fined.
Yep.
Him and Connor, they stop. Connor is a friend of theirs. He is also Anthony's cousin. Him and Connor go into a bar and drinking. Anthony, Mallory Beach, and Connor's girlfriend and Alex's girlfriend stay on the dock.
Paul's girlfriend?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. Why didn't any of them call somebody? Because you can see he's now getting belligerent. Like, in what they called his other personality was Timmy. Why didn't anybody stop this?
I want to know what they were so afraid of. Like, what were you afraid of with him?
Or were you not taught that this was so fucking dangerous?
Because so to talk about, like, alcohol and underage, my mom had rules. She was not blindsided to the fact that teenagers are going to do dumb shit. Teenagers are going to drink. My mother's rules were, A, I was to drink at home if I was going to drink. B, I had to stay where I was. Like, I could come hang out with you, and if we were drinking, I had to stay here. Or if I did not feel safe and I had been drinking, I could call her. And she would come get me.
It didn't matter what time of day I called.
Didn't matter.
Never mattered. Did that to my brother in July, and he was fucking pissed. But anyways, so like, and I'm going to go with maybe the parents never saw the risk and not teaching them. Or maybe they did and they just chose to ignore it.
Yeah.
He gets into a fight at the bar and has to be, separated. So we can see that he is out of control at this point. Mm-hmm. Why? And I'm sure they think the same thing. Why didn't they just stay there?
Yeah.
And I'm, again, hindsight's 20/20.
Right.
But this is just a PSA announcement. Make sure your kids understand that you're not Hitler when it comes to alcohol, and they do the right thing and just pick up the phone and call you.
Also, if you are underage and you are drinking, stay where the fuck you are. Do not get in the vehicle of any sort with somebody else who has been drinking.
And let me tell you, if they force you, it's better to have the cops send you a fine for underage drinking than to end up dead.
Yep.
Call 911.
Yep. I would 100% rather have to come get somebody.
True story. If you get caught with underage drinking, it's like a 6-month, your license gets a penalty on it.
Yeah.
It's not even revoked usually.
Right.
In South Carolina, at least. And sometimes if they don't even do that, they'll give you a fine. But if you called them and said, hey, I don't feel safe right now, they're going to more worried about getting you safe than giving you any kind of handcuffs, okay?
Yep.
If you have that kind of knowledge. But anyways.
Just so you guys are aware, PSA, welcome to our TED Talk. Thank you for coming.
That is my TED Talk about alcohol. So they are caught on camera getting back on the boat. And this is the last known image of Mallory, which is really sad because you can see like video surveillance of them, her and Anthony, like giggling and laughing and holding hands. And within a couple minutes, she's going to be gone. And I feel so bad for her family because it keeps airing. Yeah. It's like a constant thing.
It never stops.
To keep watching. So they get back on the boat and Paul's driving erratically. So much so that he leaves the wheel of the boat to walk to the front of the boat to yell at his girlfriend. While the boat is just free nilly-willy, and it's not like a sailboat, you know what I mean? No. Like, this is a high-powered boat. Connor quickly goes and grabs the wheel to try to stop losing control of the boat.
Good job, Connor.
And then Paul goes back over. Anthony is sitting on the bottom of the boat. So if you imagine the seats are on either side, he's in the middle holding Mallory because he's scared. She's scared. Everyone's scared. Once he takes the wheel back because he is upset. And this is quotes from Connor. I'm sorry, not Connor. Anthony. Connor starts driving a little bit, and then Paul, he stops Connor, and he's like, no, this is my boat. Like, let me drive. And then he saw the bridge coming. He ends up hitting a bridge at a high rate of speed, and they are thrown from the boat into the water. 5 of the 6 passengers are recovered and back into the boat when they call 911, and this 911 call is fucking heartbreaking. Yeah. Connor has a broken jaw trying to talk to 911. And in my opinion, listening to this 911 call, he was very clear in everything he was stating. Yeah. There was a boating accident. We hit a bridge. Archer's Creek Bridge. What bridge? Archer's Creek Bridge. I mean, he repeatedly is trying to say where he is. And this 911 operator is in fucking La La Land. Yeah. Like, was she fucking high?
I have listened to that 911 call. What the fuck were you doing? Because you could, his had a broken jaw. It was sounded a little off. But you could still understand him perfectly.
Understand exactly. Knowing what I know about 911, I wonder if maybe she was new and she wasn't ready to be on the phones. Possible. But I do know she quit 2 days after this incident. So I don't know what the circumstances was, why she didn't understand what he was saying. But it took a long time for them to get out to this boat accident. Mm-hmm. Not only that, they sent them to different locations. It was Highway Patrol got there first, and then because it was a boating accident, DNR had to take over.
Yeah.
DNR does not usually investigate death.
No.
It is very rare for them. So this was a long, drawn-out investigation, and the Murdaughs didn't make it any easier.
For anybody that doesn't know, DNR is Department of Natural Resources or something like that.
It is. And anywhere else in the world, a DNR is do not resuscitate.
So just so you know, SCDNR, South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Just so you guys are aware, because I know that anywhere else it's
do not resuscitate.
But here, that's what we call the people that handle stuff on lakes and forests and all that is the DNR people. Listen, guys, South Carolina's ass backwards. It's all right. We'll catch up. Don't worry about us.
When they got to the scene, obviously it was chaos. Mallory was still not to be found. Connor tells them on the 911 call that Mallory is missing. Everybody is transported to the hospital except Anthony. He supposedly stays behind because he wants to try to find Mallory.
Makes sense.
But I've heard conflicting stories about that too. I really do think he stayed behind. When they get to the hospital, Alex Murdaugh and Alex Murdaugh's father, which is Paul's grandfather, is telling everyone to keep their mouth shut. Again, lawyer family, I grew up in one. I kind of understand. It wasn't important at the time who was driving. What was important is let's get these kids medical attention. Let's find Mallory.
Yes.
It really wasn't important at that very second who was driving the boat.
Right.
What important was medical attention and finding Mallory.
Yeah.
But Alex was causing these children to not be able to receive medical attention by stirring them up.
Yes.
So much so that nurses asked security to, detain him to Paul's room.
Yeah.
Not arrest him, but keep him here.
Yeah, so we can handle these other kids because he's bouncing around from room to room, talking to these kids, and we don't need that right now.
Yes. Mallory, unfortunately, is not found that night. She's actually not found for 7 days when a boater finds her dead, washed up. That's a really mean way of saying that. I don't know a better way of saying it. Either way.
It's the right way to say it. It's not mean.
Her body was found 7 days later, and Mallory was such a pretty girl.
Right?
Like, why?
She's so beautiful.
And she looked like she had just a loving heart on top of being, so we have this saying, and I know she doesn't listen to it, but my little mom friends, there was this girl we went to high school with, her name is Lorelai. And
I like that name.
Me too. She is absolutely the most beautiful person inside and out. Like, inside and out. And anytime I look at pictures of Mallory and see how she, see little clips of her and her friends and hear her friends talk about her, we would consider her a Lorelai. It's like 1 in 1,000 beautiful person that's beautiful both in and out.
That's cute.
Yeah, I know. Lorelai probably thinks it's fucking weird. Anyways.
If for some reason Lorelai hears this, it's okay. We're not creepy. It's a compliment.
It is. Which is really just sad. She wanted to be an interior designer. She had just graduated high school. And she was working at a little boutique. And she wasn't a bad person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of bad decisions happened that night, but she didn't deserve to die.
No. Nobody deserves to die over making a mistake.
No. So Mallory's found dead. Now we get to everything that happens after the boating accident.
What happens after the boating accident?
It takes 3 months for Paul to see charges. And a lot of people had this was his influence trying to cover up what he did. I want everyone to remember that DNR is not used to investigating homicide or murder or death on a boat. It happens. It really does.
Yeah, they go out because people drown.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They're used to that.
There is not usually on the norm. I mean, people do die in boating accidents.
Yeah.
But look it up how many times a boat accident with death happens versus a car accident with death. Especially one where you're trying to figure out of 6 people which one was driving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's only so much.
And they have a lawyer telling them to shut the fuck up, essentially.
Yeah, there's only so much eeny, meeny, miny, mo, who the fuck killed this girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's only so much. So, I do not fault DNR for taking the time that they did. We'll start with DNR's fault. So, yes, it took 3 months for charges to be brought on Paul. Then when the fucking asshole is arraigned, he's arraigned in normal people clothes and not jail clothes. Again, cause super stir. How many times do you see a booking picture and they're wearing regular clothes still?
Not often.
I see quite a bit. Especially when there is like a grand jury right beforehand and then immediately you're getting charged.
Yeah, that's different.
So, and that's exactly what happened in this situation.
So then, yeah, it's normal for that he's in normal clothes.
He was in normal clothes. Oh my fucking God. Who cares?
Fucking stone him right now.
What he did was fucking terrible. What he did, he deserved jail time.
Yes.
But these things that you're picking apart of, oh, he had all this influence. Okay, let's also remember, this happened in February of 2019. He wasn't charged till April of 2019. A normal court case would take about 1 year.
Yep.
COVID happened. Courts were shut down. He was not high in their priority list. He was, he was only allowed to go to school and home.
Yeah, they knew where he was. They could very easily go fight him in 2 seconds
and
flat.
He wasn't running. He wasn't going anywhere because in his mind he was innocent.
Yeah.
He didn't think he was guilty. He saw no reason to run. I mean, fucking idiot. I'm sorry, but even if you weren't the one driving the boat, it was your boat and your choice to drive it home. So I don't care if you were the one driving or not. You were at fault.
100% you're at fault.
I mean, that's insane. So he at the time of his death, he was waiting to be
He was out on bond.
Yeah.
He was awaiting trial.
He was awaiting trial, which obviously I pretty much think he would have been convicted. I don't think he would have gotten that much time, though.
Probably not, no. Which is a shame.
Yeah, if he was even convicted guilty. Because there was no evidence that he was the one physically driving the boat. And I do believe he was.
Yeah.
But
so I have seen statements from Connor saying that Paul told Alex that Connor was driving.
Yep.
And Connor was like, wait, what the fuck?
Well, Connor now we can get into the lawsuits. Connor is suing the Murdaugh family.
He is.
Anthony is suing the Murdaugh family. Mallory Beach's family obviously is suing the Murdaugh family. And then Mallory Beach's family is also suing a documentary series called The Murdaugh Murder Mysteries. So they are suing them. They are also suing Parker's, which was the convenience store that sold alcohol. There's a lot of lawsuits.
So can we talk about Paul's blood alcohol?
Yeah.
So when at the hospital at 4 a.m.
Which would be 2 hours after the 911 call and 3 hours after their last known drink.
His blood alcohol level was 0.286. That is more than 3 times the legal limit.
I want to know how he's even conscious, like awake.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never checked my blood alcohol when I'm overly drinking. I don't do it that often, so.
No. I can't tell you the last time I got drunk.
Yeah.
I get buzzed and then I stop drinking.
I have a one day of the year. It's always with Jessica. I always end up in trouble. I don't need to do it more than once. I'm usually with my husband and my brother and my sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. This is my one day a year.
Yeah.
But don't think I've ever gotten to the point of being that much over the legal limit.
Yeah, that's a large amount of alcohol, guys. Like, I know, like, when you hear something... 0.2, it doesn't sound like that much, but that's a fuck ton.
I actually my mom said this to me when I was like, I don't know, 20 or something. But it explains to you how much alcohol per your blood that it comes up with those numbers.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how much you drink. And it all depends on your body weight. There's calculations that go in. Like, a larger person obviously is going to be able to drink more than a smaller person. But it's all done by how much your body is. And Paul is not a fat guy.
No.
And he'd been drinking all day long. And this was 3 hours after his initial drink. Technically, it takes 1 whole hour for your full blood alcohol level to hit the peak because of metabolism and things like that.
Right.
So at 2 o'clock then, he would have at the full peak of whatever he drank.
What was his blood alcohol at 2?
Yeah. And then we're waiting 2 more hours before we get it.
So you have to assume that at this point at 4 a.m., that blood alcohol has gone down.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be significant, but it would be gone down.
So then you're like, well, if they would have tested him right away,
what
would it have been?
So a lot of people say, well, why didn't they do a field sobriety test? First of all, it was in the middle of the fucking night. In the water. DNR does not do field sobriety tests like that.
And there were people with injuries and a girl missing.
Exactly.
That's not the top of their priority list.
When they got to the hospital, there's a triage. There's things that happen. And the police never asked for the blood alcohol level.
No.
The nurses checked it because of his erratic behavior, and they were worried about a head injury.
Yeah. And also, if you've been drinking and, like, say you weren't completely honest, but they suspected you're drinking, they're going to test.
They may need medication.
Yeah, medications.
Your blood thins when you're drunk, so you have more. You can bleed to death easier.
That's just something I feel like was worth talking about and pointing out, because that's, again, I understand that when I say 0.286, that doesn't sound like that much because there's not a number in front of it and it's a point. That's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Which, if we assume that it went down, we could probably say that he was probably at 0.3 at the peak.
I don't remember.
Again, just an assumption. I'm not in that part of the medical field. I don't understand. I don't know.
So your blood alcohol level drops 0.015 grams per 100 milliliters every hour. So at the time of the accident, he would have been about 0.316.
I was correct in my assumption of saying he had to be around 0.3.
Yeah. So to drive, your alcohol level has to be below 0.08% is where you are unlawful alcohol concentration and you would be arrested for a DUI.
So while, like, if you 0.7...
You would not be considered
a DUI.
You'd be considered under the influence, but not drunk.
You would, yeah, I don't think you get arrested if you're under the legal limit, right? I don't know laws like that.
Yeah.
But if you're under the legal limit, it's not a DUI. You are not going to get arrested for driving under the influence. You have to keep in mind, so if we're saying the legal limit of when you are considered driving under the influence is 0.08, and at the 4 a.m., it was 0.286. At his peak, he was 0.316, 315, whatever. That's a large difference.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Connor, because Connor intrigues me. So Connor
initially says he doesn't know who's driving.
Yeah, he makes a statement. So SCDNR has since come out and said he made false statements to investigators. He did not say Paul was driving. Now, when he filed, there was a pre-lawsuit discovery filed on behalf of Connor on July 7th, 2021.
And this is after Paul's death.
After Paul's death. And that lawsuit where they were, for the discovery, they were claiming civil conspiracy in connection to law enforcement's investigation. And they were filing for the right to depose several members of law enforcement and get their personal and work cell phone records. So they're trying to say, lawsuit that was being for the pre-discovery. At this point, I do not currently know what's going on with that lawsuit, but on July 7th, the lawyers on behalf of Connor are trying to say that law enforcement contacted the Murdaughs. Law enforcement was trying to protect Murdaugh family. Then on August 18th, 2021, SCDNR filed a motion in opposition, claiming that this was, quote, a fishing expedition, and they stated that early on, Connor had lied to investigators and was still refusing to give a statement to the SCDNR stating that Paul was driving. Connor is saying Alex told him to shut up. He's saying that Paul was on the phone with either his father or grandfather saying that Connor was driving. Now we have these lawsuits going on with Connor. Anthony's filed later. Mallory Beach's family's filed later. Connor was the first one to start being like, wait, what the fuck?
Because Connor felt like he was being railroaded.
Yeah.
Like he was going to be going down for all of this.
Which is valid. From what I've heard, again, Paul's not alive to tell us what was happening. Alex hasn't said a fucking word.
No, and Alex's priority of let's talk about my crimes, this is not one of them.
No.
I mean, technically, this wasn't his direct crime.
No. He was just the father.
Right.
And might have possibly, again, if we're going by Connor's lawsuit claim of civil conspiracy, possibly had something to do with law enforcement. Again, DNR does not usually handle this, and I highly, highly doubt the Murdaugh family had any pull with DNR.
Working for the same county, they probably they knew people.
Yeah.
What Alex did at the hospital, I think it would be hard as a parent who is also an attorney to stop attorney mode when you see your child's in trouble.
Right.
Not agreeing that it's okay, but if this happened to one of my kids, I'd probably tell him to shut up too.
Right, your child.
It depends on what friends were with them. We don't know what the relationship of these other 5 individuals were with the Murdaugh family. But, if it was good friend, if it was Nick and a couple of his football buddies that I knew well, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing.
Right, it's a difference of you need to be quiet until you get a lawyer here.
Yeah.
You need to not say anything until you get your parents or a lawyer here.
Yeah.
That's acceptable to me.
What he was doing was out of acceptability.
Right.
And then I kind of reflect back.
Also, focus on your own fucking kids' injuries and stop running around between rooms because your kid could be fucking dying and you don't know.
Exactly. And I feel like knowing what we know now about Alex, was his mind
busy?
Yeah, was he having, and I don't want to go too much into it because we're going to talk about it next episode, but Alex supposedly has a drug addiction.
Big on supposedly.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about that next week.
But
So then if we're going along with he had the drug problem, was he under the influence?
At the time of this going on and not thinking clearly to be able to separate what he was doing. Again, just plain devil's advocate. I don't fucking know. Nor do I fucking care.
No.
I feel bad for Mallory's family. I think the amount of lawsuits that they have going on right now are not going to stop the hurt that they are feeling. I do believe the lawsuit against Parker's convenience store should be their number one priority.
100% agree.
Additional children from being killed.
Convenience store and the bar
is
where I would be looking.
But I haven't seen any charges brought against the bar. I have not seen any mention that they have fined the bar. You're supposed to lose your liquor license.
Yeah.
It is not like ooh, here's a slap on the wrist. You lose your liquor license.
Like, listen, I'm 27 years old. If I go buy cigarettes right now, I'm still going to get ID.
Literally threw a temper tantrum in my mind at the gas station today because I went to buy cigarettes and my ID was in the car and I was too cold to want to walk back to the car, grab my ID, and go back in the store. And I'm 30.
This is why I always just bring my entire wallet in. I know you don't really carry a wallet.
Well, my phone has all my stuff. So
yeah. So I carry my wallet every time I go in the store because I don't know if I'm going to get ID'd or not.
And I understand.
Because it all depends. There's a few stores I go to where they don't ID me anymore because they know
see me every day.
Yeah, they know me. Like if I go to the QT right down here, if there's two certain people working, they don't ID me. They know me.
Yeah, that's where I was. And there was one time I've never seen this guy before. And I understand why he ID'd me. And
yeah.
That's why the temper tantrum was in my mind. And it was really because I was too lazy to walk to the car.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is their job. They could not only lose their job, but they can lose whoever they work for's business.
And also, so in a grocery store, which I have worked in grocery stores and stuff.
Under the age of 40.
If they look like they are under the age of 40, you are to ID them. Not saying that I wouldn't ID people that I could very much tell were over the age of 40 because sometimes they make them feel good. And I would just do it to be a nice lady. So
I have done that more times than not with just ID to ID. But there was a lot of times where the person over the age of 40 would get pissed at me.
Yeah, sometimes it happened. But, you have, because just like Rachel said, when they were sending her to buy for underage, you could go to jail. Yeah, it was contributing to delinquency of a minor. So, of course, every time, I didn't care. Half the time I didn't care. Like, if it was like the very little old ladies that were buying like the little bitty tiny bottles of red wine because they were probably drinking it for their health, I 90% of the time didn't ID them. Because, I'm not going to bother you, man, because you're already going to take 45 minutes to write your fucking check. Yep. But if you looked underage to me or you looked like you were under the age of 40, I am going to ID you. So I know from growing up in bars, my mom was a bartender most of my childhood, and then, working in one. That bartender is just as much as responsible for over-serving a legal adult as the bar itself. So, like, they are covered for liability purposes over the bar because you're going to go for the person with the bigger pockets. Right. But they have to make sure that they cut you off at a certain point. Yeah. If he walks into a bar and is already intoxicated and then there's evidence that he is fighting with someone before ever getting his drink, why did that bartender, regardless of his age, serve him? Yes. Like, what the fuck? I agree. There was so many preventable things this night. So many. That that's what bothers me so much. It's not how long it's taken to get to justice, or the fact that he's dead now and will never get justice. It's all of these things. So, let's double back to Paul being murdered, and people thinking Mallory Beach's family was involved. Oh my god. No, they fucking weren't. But you know who I haven't heard as a suspect, and I'm sure they've investigated, but I haven't heard anything about it? What? How do we know Anthony didn't do it? There's revenge because he killed his girlfriend, who he was madly in love with. I never thought about that. I'm sure they were investigated. I'm positive. But we never heard. Because my thought process after doing more research, I was like, did Connor do it? Because Connor thought he was going to be framed? Yep. But I didn't think about Anthony. My brain did not process Anthony. The reason I thought Connor at first, and then I thought no, because then he'd have no way of getting out of being framed. He didn't have anybody else to point the finger. So that it didn't make sense. But Anthony, he had multiple reasons why. At the scene of the accident, there is dash cam or body cam listening to him saying that motherfucker's going to get away with it. Do you know the Murdaugh family? Yeah, you know the Murdaughs. That's Alex Murdaugh. That's his son. Yeah. Good luck. Was that drunk Anthony speaking, Or was it...
I mean, he was drunk enough, but he knew that this was a bad idea getting in this car. So,
I mean, I'm sure they've probably looked into that. If they haven't, can you tell me why you haven't? I'm curious. I'm not saying we don't know what happened.
Yeah,
we don't know. Like we say all the time, we're not investigative journalists. This is all simply speculation. This is all just what we come up with.
And if you do want to hear an investigative journalist talk about this case, there is a really good one, Mandy Matney.
I like her. I
am obsessed with her podcast. And she is actually an investigative journalist. She has actually spoken. She's been investigating this family since this accident.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my. I want to know, did we investigate Anthony for the double homicide? I don't think he did it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's
a good theory.
Out of all the people I could see having motive.
But again, we've already discussed the double homicide at this point. They were both shot with different weapons, Maggie and Paul. So, is it realistic that, again, going with the theory that Anthony did it?
Anthony and Connor are cousins.
Oh.
Don't think it happened. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's interesting.
Just thinking in everything about this.
In our little crime brains.
Yeah. Is it related to Alex? Like, if these double homicides, because we know that there was no threat to the public.
Yeah, they were damn sure aware that they
why take Maggie out? Wouldn't it be better to take Alex and Paul out if this was a revenge? Or was Maggie just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
That's been my theory the entire time with the double homicide, is Maggie was not supposed to be there.
Okay, but why were they both, and you've seen pictures now of how far the kennels were from the house. Mm-hmm. At 9:30 at night, why were they both out there?
So I've thought about this. What if there was something that set the dogs off, or they heard one of them heard something, and Paul's like, I'm going to go check it out, because they think somebody's on the property, maybe,
And they've had issues where somebody was on the property.
Right. And again, this is hunting club grounds around them, so maybe somebody went a little too far, and they want to be like, hey, back it up. What if Maggie just went with him and wasn't supposed to? Or Maggie was like, Paul's taking a long time, I'm going to go out there. I'm just saying, that's my theory.
So their time of death was both 9:30.
That's what I'm thinking,
there was a situation together.
Yeah, they either went out together, or she went a couple seconds or to a minute behind him and walked out to this happening. And okay, so in my crime brain, this is what happened. Okay, are you ready for my theory? My crime brain says what happened is Paul went out to investigate something that was going on. Like, they heard a noise. They went to possibly push, thinking it was a hunter. Something happened that sent them out that way. And then Paul goes out there. Maggie realizes it's taking a long time. She comes out there. They're already there with guns and stuff. And when Maggie comes out, they're like, whoever's involved realizes they're fucked and just shoots both of them and calls it a day.
It's dark. You're in the woods. Back yourself up if you get...
I'm just saying, that's my crime brain.
So do you know their house was tried to be lit on fire by a person back in, I don't remember the year now, but there's been several incidents where people have been on the property not for hunting reasons and got too close, but trying to do something malicious.
Gee, I wonder why. Is it because Alex was a volunteer prosecutor?
Or a drug addict and hung out with...
Or Paul's a dick?
Paul was really young when that happened.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, he even says, I put up the gates because I had people coming onto my property. And the gates aren't security code gates, you know what I mean?
No, it's just a gate.
It's just a regular gate.
Even in my neighborhood, and I don't live in a nice neighborhood by any means, they've built some fancy smancy houses across the road from me that do not fit in with the neighborhood at all, and it's really fucking weird. But there's a couple little houses on that road that have gates, and they're literally just open and close gates.
Yeah. I mean, these are a little bit more grand, but because of the property that it's on, it kind of wouldn't fit in if it was just but it was still just an open and closed gate. It was just
You had to get out, open the gate, then pull through, and then get out and close the gate.
Yeah. But it's not going to keep somebody off if they wanted to be kept off.
No. It might, throw them off.
So, my thought is, this is a hunting ground. My dad's a hunter, and he is in love with his deer cams. Why was there no deer cams? Or was there, and they already know who the shooter is? Deer cams catch movement, and they stay on a memory card, just like a regular camera.
I love seeing people's deer cams.
Me too.
Because sometimes it's pretty little deers, or animals being weird and doing cute shit, and sometimes it's the fuck is that?
My father-in-law has them he has a big chemical plant that he works at.
Yeah.
And people kept going in and robbing, and he has these deer cams, but they put out some great quality, and they weren't that expensive. And I as growing up with a hunter father, I know he has deer cams, and I know that he uses them during deer season.
Yeah.
Which is June deer hunting season. I don't think so. I don't really fucking know.
I don't know what deer season is.
I'll
ask my neighbor. He goes out a lot.
I don't think I would take them down. You're still learning patterns and...
No, because I feel like they're kept up year-round because, A, they're learning patterns. B, you want to see what's out there.
B, you live on this property. This isn't like how my dad goes to a property that he's got permission to hunt on. So at the end of the season, he takes his cams down.
Because it's not his property.
I don't know. I just feel like there would be cameras out there.
I feel like there would be cameras regardless of if they were deer cams or not.
Well, they didn't have a security system, supposedly.
Stupid.
And now we are not going to say if he has one now, kind of thing. The
amount of eye rolls I've had in this case.
Yeah, the whole thing. Whole fucking thing.
So, anyway, to get back on track of what we were talking about with the boating
Mallory
accident.
Beach. We're going back to this homicide because it just blows my mind.
Because it all connects back to the fucking homicide.
Because this homicide brought everything to light.
Yeah, like the boating accident thing, like all that was kind of talked about, but it wasn't like as national as it is now.
Right. So when it initially happened, and I didn't put two and two together at the time of the double homicide, but I do remember it being on Facebook of people trying to look for her and everything else. I do remember it quickly. It was not like... It
wasn't a lot.
I had to dig into my brain cells kind of thing. But the double homicide went worldwide and then brought everything about the Murdaugh family, or Alex Murdaugh's immediate family, to light. But then it makes you wonder, did the person who did the double homicide do it to bring everything else to light?
Possibly.
Was it on purpose? For the rest of it, or was it just revenge?
I don't think we're ever gonna know.
Anyways, yeah, this is why I'm so obsessed with it.
So, like I said, there's a lot of lawsuits, some against the Murdaugh family. Mallory Beach's family currently has a lawsuit going against HBO.
And I think I said that incorrectly. I don't know. HBO is doing a documentary, and she is suing one of the docuseries people doing it because they showed pictures of her dead body. But now looking at it, I think it may be CBS.
Oh. Well, either way, Mallory Beach's family is suing somebody doing a docuseries.
Yes, because they use pictures of her dead body.
And so,
without her permission. And
because I see this on TikTok a lot, I have to say this. There is a documentary coming out about another case that I saw on TikTok where the victim's family did not give consent, but it's not focusing on that. It is focusing on the person that did it.
Yeah, it's focusing on the killer.
So while they are talking about the victim,
their focus is all, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it's also, you have to remember, if it's public record, realistically, they don't need consent.
Yep. And half of that stuff they didn't even need to file FOIA for the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I pulled it up what was already filed. And everything for that was already filed prior to them starting the show.
So if it's public knowledge, or if it can be very easily pulled, you do not need consent. You need consent if you're talking to family members. Which they did not talk to the victim's family members in this documentary that I'm talking about. They talked to the killer's family members.
Yep.
So they only needed consent from that half. They did not need her consent. They did not need that family, the victim's family's consent.
And while the victim family, in any case, deserves any kind of recognition that's going to be given, the one case that you're talking about, I feel like...
Which we'll talk about at some point.
Yeah, I feel like that is a very unusual defense, but I understand where he comes up with the defense as somebody who has that issue.
Yeah, we'll talk about it at some point. Probably obviously in the next year we will talk about it.
Probably when it comes out so we can rate it.
Probably.
My other thing is, with the lawsuits that the Mallory Beach family is doing, I hope you plan to do something good with all of that. Don't leave her name to be just a bunch of lawsuits. There is multiple things that I could recommend, and one of them would be teaching young adults about alcohol dangers and what to do if you were in a situation that Mallory was in. That's what I think. I fully agree with all of the lawsuits.
Yeah. I think, again,
I think it's also going to continue your pain and not give you any closure.
Yeah. So, to wrap, pretty much all of this was preventable. Mistakes were made on everybody's part.
Yep.
We're not faulting victims, but mistakes were made. If you drink and you're out with people that are drinking, please do not get in a vehicle with them. Call an Uber, call your parents, call your friends.
Call your pastor, call your granny, call your nanny-in-law.
Call somebody and do not get in the car drunk.
Or a boat.
Or a boat.
Don't think just because it's on a water, you're safe.
You're not.
There's bridges. There's docks. There's a fucking iceberg. I'm just saying. You're not you should not be leaving a location when you are intoxicated at anybody's hands who is also
regardless of if you are underage or not.
Yeah, I don't care if you're underage. I don't.
Listen, like I tell everybody, I might not. I say it every year. I don't care if I barely fucking know you. If you are shit-faced and you need a ride, hit me up. I'm coming. I would rather you call me and wake me up or blow my phone up and wake me up than I have to find out that you died, whether we're just Facebook friendly or not.
Yeah, I just don't understand. It was so preventable.
All right, so I think that's where we're going to wrap. We have one more episode left of the Murdaugh Files after this one. Yay.
And it's all about Alex.
So again, we are recording these like in advance, so more information is probably going to come out as they're coming out, which is fine. And if we need to, we'll do an episode 6 of the Murdaugh Files and add in a bunch of information.
And if you want a non-cabobulated play-by-play of this, check out Mandy. I'll share it.
Yeah, we'll post it.
Just because her information is she's very good at her job.
She is an investigative journalist. She deserves all the credit. We love her. If somehow you hear this, Mandy, we love you. We want to be friends. You're cool. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias, on the Tickety Talks, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the YouTube machine. Be sure to rate us on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube if you're listening on YouTube. Like us, leave us a comment, and tell us your thoughts. And join our Facebook group, Crime and Chill Fam, to talk crime with us. We will talk. Just there's not much activity going on in the Facebook group at the moment. Come on, we will talk to you. You can get to know us. We're so cool. We promise. We're not at all annoying and weird.
And I know I've put this all in very discombobulated order. So if you have a question regarding this, I have
ask questions.
Hours and hours and hours reading every article you could possibly imagine.
Rachel has all the information, and if she doesn't see it, I will make sure to be like, Rachel, go answer this question.
Rachel probably won't see it, but Victoria will make sure I get it.
I will. If you message us, I will make sure Rachel knows, and if she does not see it, I will be like, Rachel, what's the answer to this? And I will answer for her.
And if Eric Bland wants to call us, we'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Because he seems to be on a round of let's talk to people who want to.
We might reach out to him.
Talk to him.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in this week, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.